Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Made. We are so excited to be here this evening. I am Zenobia. I'm your host for the evening. And we have some friends here with us that we are super excited to talk to and to get to find out what's been going on with them. So we're going to dive right in. So here we go. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
How are you? So you might think we went to school with everybody on the couch, but we did in different roles. So let's figure out who everybody is. Let's start with some introductions. So who are you, sir? Hi, welcome.
Hi, I'm Don Doyle.
Okay.
Mr. Doyle to you.
Mr. Doyle. Absolutely.
We'll drop the Mr.
Okay.
What else do you want to know?
How do we know you? Mr. Doyle? Okay,
Well,
I'll start. I'll do it.
Okay.
Mr. Doyle was our teacher. He taught English and drama. And that's it.
Well, I did radio.
Radio.
And,
Okay.
You might have picked radio.
That's it.
I did journalism for a year. They had that for a year.
Okay.
But-
All right. So good to have you, Mr. Doyle. We'll get
Thank
into
you.
all your business shortly. Don't worry about it. Next.
Hi guys, I'm Darla, class of 2001. I'm back, and I'm excited to be here tonight with Mr. Doyle, my good friend Megan, and Zenobia.
Welcome back, Darla.
Hi, everybody. I'm Megan, again, class of 2001 with my girl Dee. She's the only reason I'm here right now. I saw what a good job she did, and I was like, I can do this.
Absolutely. So we're so excited to have you all. So we're just going to have a really good conversation about what happened 20 plus years ago. And how it's, I know, right? Can you believe it, Megan? It's
No.
ridiculous.
Crazy.
No. But you all look great. And so let's find out what's life been over the past 20 years. So, Mr. Doyle, where have you been and what have you been doing since 2001?
Well, 2001, I was still at Motivation.
Okay.
I left Motivation in, I believe it was 91.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to Motivation
started,
in 91. I left Pepper. I'd been at Pepper for, I believe, 17 years.
Oh, wow.
That's great.
And I'd been at Turner before that, and I'd been at Shoemaker before that.
Okay.
So I was kind of, went around the block a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit.
And then I went to Motivation. I think it was 91. It might have been 92. I'm not sure. There's a big exodus,
Okay.
and things were changing. And I was at middle school. Pepper was a middle school.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that they were going to turn into more of an elementary school. The principal initially was a more secondary oriented.
Okay.
So he had Pepper organized into like departments. So there were a mix of elementary school teachers and secondary teachers. But I knew the next person coming in was going to be more an elementary oriented and want the flexibility of having the teacher teach whatever they needed.
Okay.
Whereas I couldn't teach out of my area.
Right.
Because I was secondary. I could only teach like one class out of my area.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew I wouldn't be flexible enough for them, so I wanted out. So I went to the principal and told him I was leaving, and he said, well, I've been teaching for about 25 years at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And, I guess close to over 20 years.
Okay.
And he said, well, I can do you a favor. He says, I'll say that I'm dropping you, and then you'll be a forced transfer. You'll go to the top of the transfer list rather than like a voluntary transfer.
Mm-hmm.
So he did. When I went down to the school district, I was up top. I could go anywhere.
Nice.
So I wanted to stay in the neighborhood because I thought I enjoyed what I was doing. I enjoyed the kids I was dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it'd be nice if I could do that. So I went to Bartram, and I was 1 year in the main building.
Mm-hmm.
And then they asked me, there was an opening at Motivation, and they asked me to go. And I thought, you just get started one place.
Right.
I know I wanted to do that. But I went, and Miss Moskowitz was there. And we're walking through the hallway, and I saw these kids I taught, because I had taught 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, and
Right.
8th grade. There, all these different, I ran the computer lab, because I got in a degree in computer. I just knew all these kids, and they're all saying, "Hi, Mr. Miss Moskowitz. How do you know all these kids? Because you know more kids than I do,
Right.
I thought, this might be fun.
Mm-hmm.
So it was fun. So I went to Motivation, and I was able to follow a lot of kids that I had already taught. They were already there, and then more of them coming in.
Right.
So it was a really good experience.
Okay. And since then, since our year, and when did you retire?
At the end of 2004.
2004. Okay. And then where has life taken you between 2000? Oh my gosh, exactly 20 years ago. right?
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Phew.
Okay. Well, happy 20th on your retirement.
Thank you.
You
I'll
look
even
great.
count them, I'm just having a good time.
Having a good time. I know that's right. Okay. So what are you doing now?
Well, when I left teaching, I went to work for a contractor,
Okay.
and did that for about 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then he had some difficulties, and he disappeared. So I stopped doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But lately, I've been concentrating on my photography. I like
Okay.
photography. I do a lot of photography. And I started taking pictures of animals that would go through my yard, things like that. And I got very interested in growing different flowers, different pollinators. And then 3 years ago, I took the plunge and started keeping bees.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So had 3 seasons of beekeeping.
Mm-hmm.
This would be my 4th season coming up.
Okay.
And I wanted to do that because I wanted a challenge, and beekeeping is pretty complicated. It looks like you just sit back and the bees do all the work, which they do all the work, but there's a lot else involved,
Okay.
keeping them healthy. So I do that. I enjoy that.
Okay.
And
So you've had a very eclectic time over the last 20 years.
Didn't you write a book
I
too?
was just going to ask
You
that.
did.
well,
you write a book?
we did write a book. My wife and I
No big
co-authored
deal.
a book.
Let's just write books. You know, why would you not?
And we visited, I think it was 84 schools reading the book.
Mm-hmm.
Read to over 2,000 kids. We were down at your school.
You were
Or
at my
your-
school. Yeah.
Is that still your school? Or?
Yeah. I'm
Okay.
still the principal there.
Went down and read the book, and it was kind of a treat because the kids were so excited, and I ran into the children of kids I had taught.
Mm-hmm.
It was mostly through Delaware County. We tried to do Philadelphia, but they made it difficult. Upper Darby made it difficult. I actually technically live in Upper Darby. I say Lansdowne, but couldn't get in Upper Darby School District.
Yeah.
But we visited a lot of schools. We were all through Bucks County, and the Delaware County Intermediate Unit bought the book for all their
Oh,
classrooms.
nice.
And we sold less than 2,000 books, but over 1,000 books.
Okay.
And then the pandemic came and totally put us out of business.
Yeah.
So, because you couldn't go into schools,
Right.
obviously.
Right.
So I had another one I wanted to do, and my wife, she lost interest. She just went to it.
She was
So
over it.
It'll be, so yeah.
Okay.
But she did all the heavy lifting. She made all the phone calls, all the
Okay.
contacts. I said, look, we've got all this down.
Yeah.
We went to these schools. They'll probably welcome us back. Some schools contacted us, said, what are you doing? Of course, when you write a book that's aimed towards like preschool till about 3rd grade, your audience is constantly being renewed. So
Yeah,
you couldn't go back
absolutely.
and just go right all over it
So
again.
for our audience, let's do a shameless plug. What's the name of the book?
Pop's Cookie Duster.
Okay.
And it came about because we were visiting my grandchildren in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And my son lives in Sarasota and has 2 girls.
Mm-hmm.
And they're 3 years apart. So I'd be reading the story to one in one room. My wife would be in another room reading the kids a story, because we did that with our kids growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And we're in the airport to come back. And my wife said, what did you think of those books? I said, oh, they were terrible. I mean, they really were. They were just not good.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, you could write a better book than that. I said, oh, I know I could write a better book than that. She goes, well, let's do it. So you know how wives are. Maybe you don't, but she wouldn't let it go. So did you start yet? Did you start yet?
Yeah.
So finally I started.
Awesome.
And what we did was I'd write and she would write, and then we'd mash it together. I'd read what she did. And we found an illustrator and got it illustrated, and didn't have to look far for a publisher because one of my sons is a publisher.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome.
And so he published the book for us. And then we started beating the bushes.
So where can someone find your book now?
Well, it's on Amazon.
Amazon. Okay.
It's on Amazon at the Barnes & Noble in Lawrence Park
Nice.
on Sproul Road. They carry it too.
Okay. I think Amazon will be our best bet.
Yeah, I mean, Amazon's easy.
It's quick.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
I'm gonna put it in my
All right.
cart.
Awesome. So we will, well, I already have it, but for all of you all who want the book, please go and get it. It's really cool. Especially if you have young children, nieces, nephews, all the things. So, all right, hold that thought. We're coming back, Mr. Doyle. Darla, welcome
Yes,
back. Another
yes.
episode.
Yes.
We know who you are a little bit, but just give
Yes.
us a refresher. What have you been doing since our last filming day?
Since December.
Yeah. You've been doing things, Darla. Don't act.
I've been working, and I'm a rebounding instructor, so I've been teaching a couple classes here and there, just trying to stay healthy, and also dealing with a 17-year-old who is working my nerves. But that's about it.
Okay. Is he a senior or a junior?
Girl, he's a junior.
Okay.
Don't let the beard fool you.
Don't let the beard fool you. Okay. He's very handsome.
He is
Megan,
adorable.
how are you?
I'm well, I think, for the most part.
For the most part.
I'm doing pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us what you've been doing for the last 20 plus years.
It's kind of been a little bit of a whirlwind. I've been a little bit of everywhere. I work in healthcare. I've been with Penn for 17 years almost, which is just crazy to think that, again, we're old enough to work somewhere for 17 years.
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of consulting there. And when I'm not doing that, I'm traveling. I love to just go wherever I can, whenever I can. That's where most of my money goes.
Yeah.
That's really it. I live in South Philly. Have some, friends in the city. We just kind of live the life a little bit.
Awesome. All right. So we're going to get into some memories. So hopefully you've been thinking about some things that were great and awesome and all those things. And we'll talk about, we'll start with English class. So you two are still friends, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So how did you meet at Motivation? Did you meet before that? And how has your friendship lasted over all this time?
You want to go or you want me to go?
You can,
Don't omit any great stories, okay? Just
No,
feel
I
free.
think that social media has really helped us stay in touch.
for sure.
I haven't seen her. Gosh, when's the last time we've seen each other? Years.
Yeah.
But I think we got together. It was probably we got together for our 10-year,
Mhm.
our part of like the group that we hung out with. So it has been a while, but we keep in touch with social media all the time. It's hard. It's different,
Yeah.
She had a baby when we were like right out of Millersville
Yes, in grad school.
grad school. So
Yeah.
like I was at her shower and things like that. But, thank God for social media because she was one of my best friends. She literally probably was my best friend in high school,
For sure.
I don't know where I would have been in a lot of places without her.
Right.
And I just love and respect who she's become.
Mm-hmm.
She was so quiet, and now we know she is not.
Tell the people, Megan. Tell them.
So
She's not.
quiet.
She's not.
But in a good way. Like
Yeah.
you're just so comfortable in your skin, and I feel like we both were not. I am definitely much more confident than I was too in high school, but you for sure have just grown up to be this like powerful woman, and it's great to watch.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So,
But wait, where did we meet? Did
Yeah,
we meet
I
in
was gonna
Pepper?
ask
With
again.
I
Yeah,
think
so
it was.
tell
I
us.
think it was.
We
middle
kind of
school.
knew each other in Pepper.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
we
like,
didn't get real cool until high school.
yeah.
And then what do you all think drew you closer in high school to where you were able to become like best friends in high school?
Backstreet Boys and NSYNC.
We were kind of weird. We're kind of like we're not in the norm. We weren't in the top tier. So
We'll get back to these tiers.
so we
gonna come every
bonded.
episode.
We bonded over that. Megan is just a great spirit. She like never could hold her tongue. So if it was on her mind, she said it, and I admired that, especially like in high school. And like she said, that we've kept in touch like via social media. So I've seen she's grown into also another powerful woman.
Thank you.
I love the fact that she gets to travel. I think it's awesome. So I'd be living vicariously sometimes through your stories. Yeah, she's just a great person. I'm so happy that we got to connect in school.
Awesome. So you all had a commonality in high school that kind of connected you and helped you all build that friendship. Speaking of friends, you were our teacher, Mr. Doyle, but you had some friends / colleagues that you still are connected with today.
Mhm.
Tell us about it. Who are you still friends with or talk to that were our teachers in that 1997 to 2001 range?
Well, my brain gets a little fuzzy about years.
Okay, we'll tell you if they were our they were our teacher.
Did you remember Mr. Donchez?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Mr.
What did
Donchez,
Mr. Don tip? What did he teach?
science, freshman.
I remember him. but
I remember
don't know
the
if we
name. I
had him.
can't picture
Yeah.
a face.
Yeah, I can't be.
Well, he was, we met at Pepper,
Okay.
and I went from Pepper to Barton to Motivation.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a little different path, but he wound up in Motivation also. And I still see him.
Mm-hmm.
We have very different personalities, but we blend together well.
Okay.
Turns out we had the same birthday.
Oh, wow.
So
okay.
that was pretty strange.
Mm-hmm.
Kids thought that was really strange because our whole classroom demeanor was so different.
Uh-huh.
Are you Gemini?
A Pisces.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry.
Relax.
Sorry.
It's the best I could do.
I'll allow it.
Thank you, Mom. Yeah. The Warshaws.
Yes.
Mr. Warshaw I met in college.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
And we weren't best buds, but we knew each other. And
Right.
we both commuted. We went to Westchester. We both commuted.
Mm-hmm.
And then at our first assignment, we shared for our first assignment. We happenstance totally wound up at Shoemaker Junior High, 53rd and Media,
Okay.
and he was there for about a year and a half. And he was a math teacher, and he got the opportunity to go to high school. I think about in the middle of his second year teaching, so he jumped at it and went to Barton.
Okay.
And then I really kind of lost touch with him, after that. When I came to Motivation, when I came to Bartram, we renewed our friendship, and I met his wife, who I didn't know previously.
Okay.
And she was an English teacher, so we didn't work together on projects, but we kind of listened to each other and kind of talk things out. We were very simpatico.
Okay.
And she's my Sunday morning call, 8 o'clock Sunday morning. I'm on the phone with Mrs. Warshaw, finding out what's
To
going on.
this day.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's
okay.
awesome.
I love that.
Yeah,
And
so
what do two retired English teachers talk about on a Sunday morning at 8:30?
Their
she's
spouses?
gone to Broadway all the time, so she tells me
She
about the
is.
shows that she's seen, so that's interesting. I'm just boring, so but I enjoy talking to her. And as I was saying earlier, Mr. Warshaw is not an early riser, and my wife is not an early riser. And by 8 o'clock, Mrs. Warshaw and I have both been up for about 4 hours.
Oh,
So, I call it the curse. My ancestors in Ireland must have been peasants that, just had to get up at the sunrise or something. But just what's going on, just keeping in touch. And then we haven't been out together socially for a little while, just before the pandemic, I guess.
Right.
But we still maintain. And she's very busy, as you know, because she's been on one of your episodes.
Right.
She's still going to work every day.
Yeah.
I gave that up a long time ago.
Yeah. All right. So, Mr. Doyle, retired for 20 years. You don't look a day over 1997. So, how old are you?
I just had a birthday,
Okay.
77.
Happy birthday.
Happy
Thank you very much.
birthday.
Thank you.
77. And Miss Merle is 78, right? Isn't that what she told us?
I think so. Yes.
Now, Miss
It had
Merle
an 8 in it.
was at Westchester the same time I was.
As y'all were students at the same time?
Yes, students
Oh,
at the
wow.
same time.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't know her and she didn't know me.
Mhm.
But,
Was that like a popular teaching school? I think it is now, but was it then too?
and it was very affordable.
Okay.
I came from a large family, and my parents said, "Look, we'll help you wherever we can, but not going to be with money.
Yeah.
You can live here. We'll feed you. You can sleep
Yeah.
here and everything."
That sounds very
Go on to
familiar.
that
That's-
state
that's what you
school.
do, yeah.
Go on to that state
So,
school.
Yeah.
But Westchester at the time, tuition was $125, and at $25, wait a minute,
Wait a minute. Yeah.
a semester.
Let's back up.
semester.
Well, that don't make it
No,
better.
It's even worse.
And
Each
wait a minute,
semester
that
at
wasn't the
Westchester.
end of it.
Okay.
It was a $25 activity fee.
Oh, my.
Don't forget
So
that.
basically,
A whomping 150.
well, you got to remember, I was making 90 cents an hour. So
What year was this?
well, 1965.
Wow.
But Westchester was a very popular school. It was close to Philadelphia.
Right.
So the poor people commuted. So I was commuting, and Mr. Warshaw commuted.
Okay.
And I don't know about Miss Merle, but it was a lot of money at the time.
Of course,
but it was
of course.
eminently affordable because
Right.
at the time I think Penn was like $2,000.
Okay.
Now Penn's like what, $84,000 a
A
year,
million.
something like
I
that.
mean,
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
in the
College
80s.
is the biggest. That's enough
So-
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I didn't have my college experience was I didn't have a car,
Mm-hmm.
so I either hitchhiked, found out somebody was going out there, or took the bus from 69th Street at
Mhm.
5:30 to get out there for 7 o'clock class,
Yeah.
things like that. So it was like a job
Mhm.
for me. Going to college was a job, which is okay.
Mhm.
I was used to working, so I
Mhm.
didn't have a problem with that. But I didn't have that rich college life, with
Yeah.
hanging
No, I
around
don't
the
know.
dorm
I don't
and
know
stuff
that.
I don't know that
you
either.
I had a
Yeah.
college life, but it sure wasn't rich.
Mm-mm.
So we can relate. All right, Mr. Doyle, we have this thing called tiers. I think Darla made it up, but I don't
First
know
of
if
all,
she's going to
Reese,
claim
Reese
it.
was on it too.
Oh,
Wasn't
Sharice.
just
Sharice
me.
is not here. Do you remember Sharice?
Sharice who?
What was her last
Sharice is
name?
now,
Glenn.
because I'm trying to, she's now married. So
Yeah.
it was Glenn. Do you remember Walter?
Walter Clymer, I remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Walter and Sharice are now married.
Oh, yeah, I do know that. 'Cause
Okay,
I
yeah.
would see Walter on Facebook.
Facebook. Okay, yeah.
And I always remember Walt was always drawing like
Yep.
superheroes.
Yeah.
Comic
Yeah,
also.
absolutely.
That's why I
Comic.
And
remember.
I kind of thought it was interesting because I think he and his cousin worked together and they were
Okay.
going to conventions and stuff. And I
Yeah.
thought, good for you, Walt,
Yeah, awesome.
glad to-
So they came up with these out. It was Darla and Sharice, these tiers, right? And so, do you want to explain it, Darla? Hit it one more time for the people.
We felt as though Moat had tiers, and so we had the top tier, which was like the popular people. It was like the funny people, the pretty people. They comprised of the top tier, and then I think the second tier might have been like nerds or outcasts, something like that. And then the third tier, how did she label the third tier?
everybody else.
The marginalized.
Everybody else.
The third tier was the marginalized. So people, well, I don't know. I'm not going to name them.
All right, so Megan, what you? This is probably your first time hearing this.
Yeah.
About
Well,
the
I
tier.
kind of heard it on
On the
I
other
watched a
episode.
little bit.
Okay,
But that was my first time hearing that
the
there were
breakdown.
tiers. Yes.
Okay. Do you agree? And if so, what did that mean to you in high school, or how did that impact you in high school?
There were definitely popular people,
Mhm.
right?
For sure.
And I always looked at it like who was nice
Mhm.
and who was not nice.
Okay.
Anyone not nice was typically in that higher that higher tier.
There's
Yeah.
there's a very interesting thread here. Go ahead.
Middle, I feel like there were so many middle people. Like,
Okay.
for instance, Sharice, right?
Yeah.
Not to put her on the spot, Sharice. Sorry, you were middle tier, I think. I don't know.
Sharice Abrams or Sharice Glenn?
Glenn.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
Sharice Abrams was. All right, no,
Right.
go ahead.
I can't see, and I don't. I'm going to be quiet when I don't know who you're talking about because
Okay, it's fine.
So,
Sharice
Walter-
was
yes.
yes, Sharice
she
Glenn.
was the nicest, coolest girl
Yes.
all the time. She was
Still is.
always nice to everybody.
Mhm.
She, like, I didn't see, like, she it wasn't a tier thing. It was just, she was just Sharice.
Yeah.
Same Amber. Me and Amber were very, very close our
Mhm.
freshman year
Mhm.
before she left.
Yeah.
And I actually forgot she left until I watched again.
Amber left
Amber left.
and came
Yeah.
back.
But I really had a great like her and I, because my freshman year, I feel like I was still like I kind of started getting close to Darla, Katie, but my crew was like Dana
Mhm.
because we kind of grew up together in the neighborhood,
yeah,
and then we had Amber and I just kind of clicked.
yeah,
But like people like that, and I don't know how to people like that sounds terrible, but those weren't middle tier to me. They were just our classmates, like, you know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
didn't really, but I definitely felt the higher tier. But when you say it, like, I don't necessarily think was a bad thing because some of the higher people tier
Well,
were nice.
I don't
I
know
guess.
if it was. Are you implying it was a negative, Darla?
I mean, I feel like there were some people that felt like the top tier were a little mean.
Yeah.
And just
So there were negative components, but
There-
you're not tiering it in the sense of good and bad,
I mean,
or you are.
I feel like 16-year-old me would have been like, it's good and
Good
bad.
and bad.
Like,
Yeah,
you know,
that's
the
how
people-
I'm seeing it too.
Oh,
Like,
so like
yeah.
it's a different lens now that we're 40.
Right.
But like back then, like it was the popular girls who like didn't talk to you and
Uh-huh.
didn't want to be associated with you, didn't want
Uh-huh.
to sit down at lunch with you and things like that.
Mhm.
And then you had everybody else, but they broke down into like more tiers.
Different tiers. Okay.
But you had there was a middle tier, like the pretty girl tier or something. What was that?
That might have been a sub tier. Like the funny guys, the athletes.
I was trying to think who was in that.
They
I'm
had
like,
this
I
down
can
to a
think of.
science. There are
Yeah,
tiers,
I did.
sub-tiers,
That's what I mean. I don't know that I've ever
qualifiers.
thought of it like that.
So like pretty people, it would have been like Jen Mundy, would have been like Lori.
See, now, yeah, Lori to me was always great, quiet for me. She not like I didn't. Me and Jen were friends forever before this. Like,
So do you feel like you were able to, even though you can identify that you can follow the concept of tears,
yeah.
do you feel like you were able to flow through the tears very easily, or it was
No,
like,
I feel like
my crew was
See, you're like I was trying to think about this a lot because I have certain people in my mind
Mhm,
that I almost wonder if they even know who they are.
mhm,
Because I think, and you now, like I heard you say you're a principal,
mhm.
I imagine your outlook, if you hear like that you're in a specific tier, you're like, I was in a tier like that?
Yeah,
Like,
I know.
you're an
They were
educator,
I'm still
right?
baffled.
Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, but there are certain people that I know I hate it.
Mhm.
And if I,
That's
sorry.
fair. Yeah.
No, really. And I have a story to tell about that too, because I really want to know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really want to know, but I want to know what Darla thinks of it now because you want me to just go,
Well,
go
so
into
wait,
this?
pause the story. I got one question for Doyle. We're going to circle
yeah.
back. Mr. Doyle, as the teacher, right? So you hear this conversation about tiers. There was the popular tier, the pretty tier, the marginalized, if you say that, the middle tier, whatever the case is. We came to class every day. Did you see that in classrooms while you were trying to teach? Do you think that had an impact? Did you have to shut a lot of things down? Or was it kind of like you knew it was happening in the social side of school, but when it got to your class, it was kind of like, we're working, we're focused. That didn't really have a place.
No, it did. I wasn't privy to all the inner workings of everything.
Right,
I knew
right.
I could see some people were more popular than others, and I always felt I wanted to try and reach the people that maybe didn't feel comfortable.
Okay.
I don't know how successful I was, but I tried to draw them out
Mm-hmm.
because I thought those popular people don't need me.
True. Right.
But
That is true.
I kind of wanted to make them feel I didn't have to do anything for the popular people.
Right.
I wanted to try and reach the people that were having trouble.
Yeah.
You know?
So you noticed it and you were intentional about trying to make everybody feel a part, especially when they were in your room.
Right.
Okay. Awesome.
I can
So-
also, sorry.
Yeah, and then go into
I
your
can
story.
kind of see like some of the things, just like the music video that you like that we did, or just drama class in general. I feel like most of my memories now that I think about in your class were drama and radio.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the kids that were into that, because they were electives, were probably the kids that may have needed a little bit of that help, right? So me, I think I was shy. You say I said whatever was on my mind,
No, you did.
but I guess I wasn't. I was like in a lot of clubs and stuff, so maybe that's why. But I just felt like having to get on camera in Warshaw's class or your class, things like that. It was so nerve-wracking for me, but it helped me. Like, it helped me relate. Like, oh, they're nervous too.
Yeah.
You know, like
Right.
everybody kind of felt the same in that moment. Like there was no, you know, you're cool, or because everybody had to do it. Everybody was embarrassed.
Right.
Like it wasn't, you know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
feel like all those type of activities helped me, to your point, get through some of that.
Mhm.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
So then what is your story? Or
So
what
I,
is your
yeah, I've
experience?
been thinking about
Let's
if I
get
want to
into
bring
it,
this up.
Megan. Yeah.
Because this is a pivotal part of my high school memory.
Okay.
I don't even know if you know what I'm going to bring up.
Okay, let's go.
So bear with. So we were in Mr. Weiss's class.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mr. Weiss taught biology.
Yeah. So
And
there,
the toupee.
And
he
had
had
a
a
toupee.
toupee. The poor guy, like he tried his best. For some reason, some of the teachers could keep their classes very calm,
Mhm.
and others just couldn't. And I don't know what it was, because all the same kids. It's not like everybody was bad, but Mr. Weiss was one of those
He
classes
could
that,
not do it. Yeah.
yeah, and you know, like people just kind of. So I will never forget the person who handed me a piece of paper, and it was a drawing of me on one end and Darla on the other. Do you remember this piece?
No. Mm-mm.
Well, I'm about to bring it back to you. I was a little bit eccentric, I think, when I was in high school, and there were days I used to wear pajamas to school. I don't know why, but I did.
Uh-huh.
Maybe it's because I worked after school every day,
Okay.
or I just didn't care. I wanted to be a little different. Like I hung
Yeah,
out
you
with the
were-
skater girls,
Yeah,
like
doing what you wanted.
whatever. So let me just go get my brand new pair of pajamas, my clean, brand new white t-shirt,
Mm-hmm.
my nice clean sneakers, and go to school.
Right.
So the first page was like, my name is Megan. I wear pajamas to school. Turn the page. It's a picture of Darla, and it says, "My name is Darla. I think I'm white."
Ooh.
Do you remember that?
Now I do kind of remember that.
Oh.
And I
Goddamn top tiers.
and I
How do you now you know who wrote it?
I
Now
know,
that you
but
wrote-
I wish
I don't
I
remember
knew
who.
who
Okay.
drew
Okay.
that.
So you just assume it's the top tier crew?
Yeah, it had to be. Well, I don't want to curse, but they definitely had to be like in a-hole. Like I'm feeling like comedian or
I would probably say comedian
yeah,
with a little bit of the mean girl.
yeah.
And we have a mean girl in common, so I think we're probably on the same. So
Who's the mean girl?
do I say it? I don't really want to say it.
Okay, don't say it.
I don't know if
Okay, you gotta say
let me
it.
see if I get comfortable with it first.
Okay, got it.
She'll know who it is when I say this,
When
or
you say
maybe
the
she
story, okay.
won't, because again, when you are a junior or senior in high school,
Right.
you're doing things that you don't realize are going to
Right.
impact people,
Exactly.
and that you are like a straight bully.
Right.
And that's what she was.
Okay.
But the person that handed it to me was a class clown, definitely not top tier.
Mm-hmm.
And he handed it me. He just went like this because he sat behind me, and he went and handed it to me, and I opened it, and the whole entire class was watching. And I'm like, what is this? And I saw it, and like I got instantly upset,
Yeah.
of course. And I don't even know if you were in the class at that time. I might have gave it to you or whatever, but I was just so upset. And I stuck my middle finger out at him.
Mhm.
And I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't know what else to do.
Right.
And then whatever happened, then we had Miss Pal's class after, and the person I know had something to do with it or whatever. She just sat in front of me and she just kept going like this, like mocking me.
Yeah.
And I was not first of all, I don't really think that anybody fought in motivation. Like
Yeah,
in
not
Pepper,
really.
there was fights being broken up all the time. Like
Okay.
in motivation, I don't know that anything really ever got physical,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, we were just staring, and I was never going to say anything. I was
Mhm.
so upset,
Mm-hmm.
and she just kept going and going. And then everybody else is watching and they're laughing
Mm-hmm.
because like she's mocking me. And that was it. And
Yeah.
I'm like, but what I wanted to like, and I'm surprised like that isn't a major memory for you, because I do feel like you got a lot
Does it
of
start with a V?
a V.
Does the name start with
No.
a V? Okay.
No. Reginald Rice is who gave me the letter. I'll put that
Reggie.
name out.
Okay.
Isn't he a pastor now, I think?
I don't know.
or
Reggie
something?
might be on my Facebook. Reggie.
So-
But I'm saying like that's, and I went to, I will never forget. Obviously we went, I went to
So
school.
Reggie passed you the note. We
Yeah.
just had a conversation. Who
Yeah.
wrote the note?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
That's what I would love to know. I don't know who drew it.
Uh-huh.
I don't know who started it, whose
Right.
idea it was. It
Mhm.
wasn't Walter Clymer because it wasn't a good picture.
And
It
Walter's
wasn't
an
like-
artist.
Yeah. Do you know
Right.
what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it wasn't like a good,
Yeah.
but they did it to hurt us.
Right.
So we
Right,
might
right.
need Reggie to come on.
Yeah.
We're gonna need Reggie to come on. Okay.
So Reggie,
We're
you're
gonna need
getting
Reggie.
called out. Okay. So you need to come on
We
and
need some
figure out,
answers.
tell us who wrote the note so
Yeah.
that we can find them too and talk to them. Okay. So Megan, so that was 20 something years ago.
Yeah.
It definitely had an impact on you
For
in high
sure.
school. And so how now looking back on that, how did that shape the rest of your high school experience?
It made me start to hate those, like that crew.
Okay.
And I have to be honest, like Melissa and Zenobia,
Mhm.
I don't really remember. I remember you guys being part of, I don't remember ever having issues with you guys.
Mhm.
Like I don't, but there were probably people that you hung out with
Right,
that
right,
I
right.
did.
Yeah.
But to me, what I was thinking is like Darla got so much
Mhm.
for having white friends. Like
Yeah.
she just got so much
Mhm.
hate on that.
Yeah.
When we were just naturally,
Yeah.
we just hit it off. Like
Right.
it wasn't,
Yeah, like color.
We didn't see
as
color
cliche
then. Like,
as it,
yeah,
as
it
it
was-
is.
Mhm.
Color wasn't really like a thing for me.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
especially in
motivation
that
was
moment.
very, I feel like motivation was very diverse.
it
We
was.
had African American children, we had white children, we had Asian children. Like there was, I felt like it was a melting pot of all different backgrounds.
But it
And
was. I feel like it was primarily more black though.
You
Like,
think so?
For sure.
I think so.
I think I
Oh,
was definitely a minority in motivation. I think there was probably 8 or 9 white kids in the class. It wasn't.
Mr. Doyle, was it like that?
It got that way.
Uh-huh.
When I went, as I say, I think it was 91 or 92,
Okay.
I would say it was predominantly white
Mhm.
at
Okay.
the time.
Yeah, because
And-
Southwest was like
Yeah.
Yeah.
predominantly
Yeah.
white.
And it was, everybody's father was a policeman or a fireman,
Okay.
or maybe worked at City Hall, mostly policemen, firemen.
Mhm.
And it increasingly became blacker and more Asians.
Okay.
Mhm.
You know, it seemed like the shift went from predominantly white to predominantly black
Okay.
with a whole lot of Asians.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So,
So I guess I
got
guess
a
your
follow-up
experience was
question.
right.
So how did that impact you, like teaching predominantly like Black students?
I didn't teach a white student until I came to motivation.
Oh.
No, I was at Pepper. I was at Pepper.
Oh.
But the first,
Because Shoemaker was black.
totally.
Oh yeah, my dad went
Totally,
there.
yeah.
He said totally.
It was in the
Did I teach him?
You might have. No, he's 72. I doubt it.
But yeah, you could see there was a change. But
Yeah.
I honestly didn't see where it was. It was just a change.
Mhm.
I didn't say, "Oh
Yeah.
God, we're going downhill now."
Right,
I
right,
didn't
right.
feel that way at
Right.
all.
Yeah.
Because the kids, you have to realize that the motivation kids were cherry picked.
Mm-hmm.
I would see
Yeah.
this woman in Pepper in the room where they had the mailboxes for the teachers,
Mhm.
and the grade books were kept there. And there were different grade books, as you know. There were the report card kind of grade books, and then
Yeah.
there was the standardized test grade books. And I thought, why is this woman? Is she an attendance worker? I don't know what she was. It was Mrs. Moskowitz, and she would spend hours, days
Mhm.
combing through to pick people to come to motivation.
Yeah.
You know, so we
'Cause
were
it
a
was
special
special
place.
event, yeah.
There were people. They always said there were people at motivation who couldn't survive in the main building.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
that would've been
they
good.
shined
Very
at,
true.
at motivation, but they would have just been chewed up and spit out at,
Right.
and maybe dropped out.
Right.
So that was one good thing about motivation. It was
Right.
kind of a safe haven,
Right.
Yeah.
and we were
Agreed.
far enough away from the main building that
Yeah,
the distance
the
was a
state
good thing.
didn't get involved.
Mhm.
Right.
Distance
They
was
still
a-
made us go to main building though for like certain things,
Graduation
like
practice.
honor society.
I went to main building one time for something in the auditorium.
Really?
Well, who's
Graduation practice, probably.
Oh, and I never
it was
went
awful.
back.
They
Yeah.
used to- I don't know what. See, I'm really bad with years. Tom Joyner came to Bartram,
Uh-huh.
the disc jockey,
Yeah, we
Got-
know.
okay. and they wouldn't let the kids from the main building be there. All of motivation walked from motivation to Bartram to be in the audience
Uh-huh.
Oh,
for
wow.
him to be there because they couldn't trust.
Right.
The rest of the
main
school.
building
That's
children.
crazy.
So we were all over for that, and I thought, wow, that's
It's interesting.
yeah.
All right, so let's get into English class.
Can
So-
I say something? here? 'Cause
Sure.
this- I'm thinking of this.
Okay.
The queen of the Mean Girls is Tina Fey,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
She made
Yeah,
Mean Girls.
She's from
Right.
your neighborhood, right?
Well, my son went to my kids went to school with her, and she devotes about 5 pages of her book
Mhm.
to my family.
Oh,
wow.
nice.
So, but she got me wrong. She said I owned a deli. My brother had a restaurant, but
Okay,
I
not
just
you.
I just ate there. you
Right.
know, but that was kind of funny when that book came out. My daughter,
So is this in her biography?
the one with
Is it like boss something or?
yeah, boss lady or something.
Oh,
like that.
okay. Okay.
Where she's got the man's arms on the
Okay.
cover and
Yeah.
like this. But my daughter was so excited. Now I have 3 sons,
Mm-hmm.
and they're 53, 52, and 51.
Okay.
And my daughter is just 34. So there was
Okay.
17 years difference.
Mm.
Wow.
And she was so excited. She's at the bookstore the first day the book came out because, she had to get it. And
Mhm.
she was just over the moon about it. So it was kind of fun.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's good.
Speaking of books and people being in books, in English, you had us reading all the time, which
I
I
was
thought was
trying.
great. And you introduced us to this book titled Ethan Frome. And my name's in the book. I tell this story all the time, so I had
Yeah.
to tell it on camera. The only book that I've ever seen my name in, it was a character. So thank you, Mr. Doyle.
Very well.
But tell us, what was your desire by having literature as kind of the top focus? Like, what did you want us to walk away with as students in your class? And now looking at us 20 years later, and we're sitting here naming books that you had us read. Were you intentional about that 20 plus years ago, or what was your purpose for that?
I was super intentional about it.
Okay.
I
Wow.
was super intentional. The whole thing about old dead white men writing books and stuff like that. And I thought, there's so many good books out there, but we only could do like 9 books in a year.
Uh-huh.
So I kind of kept some books at the core, but I wanted to I just wanted to expose people to what's out there.
Mhm.
And when we got to do books like Black Boy, or do you remember we did Murder? Remember?
I do remember that.
Dick Gregory's book.
What?
Dick Gregory's book. I always said it was
Oh, okay. I don't
Wait, I
remember
don't
that
remember
book.
You don't
We
remember
read
that?
it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, see, I didn't teach the exact same books every year.
year,
There was a base, you know?
Uh-huh.
But I had older authors like Edith Wharton, and then I had Richard Wright, which was
Uh-huh.
a little older.
Right.
Dick Gregory,
Yeah.
No, it was very intentional. I thought
Okay.
there's something in every book. There was something that some point I wanted to get across.
Right.
And I thought by the time you're a junior, you really have your kind of writing skills pretty much figured out. You might not have confidence in your writing, but
Right.
you can, especially at motivation, you can string a sentence together. You can
Yeah.
write a paragraph. You wouldn't be at motivation if you
Correct.
couldn't do that.
For sure.
So would you go to the store and pick up Ethan Frome? No, you wouldn't. Now you would if you found out there was a
If I knew my
Snowbie,
name was in it, yeah. But other than that, no.
Yeah. So, I mean, I thought these are books that I can bring out to people and hopefully they'll read some of them. Or I like to tell stories. I like the stories in the books that we did. And I like to think that some of the people that I have come across have said, I read that book that we read, went back and read that again. And I thought, well, that's a good thing. And there were some books that I kind of felt pressured to do, like Catcher in the Rye.
I like
which
Catcher in the Rye.
I just didn't
it's
like
okay.
Catcher in the Rye at all.
But because it was the curriculum, you had to.
Well, no, because that's an impactful book on so many people.
Yeah.
I just could not relate to him
Okay.
at all. And now all these serial killers are presenting Catcher in the Rye as their favorite book, and I thought,
Right. Darla, do you need to tell? No.
Um,
just-
Well, no. Reggie. It's like,
Lord, this is. Are you all readers now? How was reading all these books? Was it fun then? Were you always readers? Are you readers now?
definitely a reader.
Okay.
Definitely a reader now.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually read a lot of history books, like super into pro-Black history, African American history. So I enjoy reading. I always have.
Okay. Awesome. Megan?
I go in and out of reading.
Yeah.
I have a goal to read 25 books this year just because I wanted to, screen time, less of it,
yeah.
open a book versus be on social media constantly.
Right.
I'm going to put The Giver on my list because I feel like I would enjoy reading that again.
Yeah.
I'm about to do that too.
It was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I definitely like to read.
Okay.
And I definitely remember your books in your classes when I think about high school books.
Right.
Because they were impactful.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely were impactful.
And I don't think a white girl would have ever picked up
Black Boy.
Black Boy or the other.
Mm-hmm.
Just, you know what I mean? We never would have.
Right. So the exposure went full circle,
Mhm.
like with everybody. Yeah. Okay. I can't see that much. Okay. So anyway, I read regularly. Now that I'm finding time to read again because work and life and being a parent kind of took that at some point, but I enjoy reading. So
can I tell you who my favorite is now?
who?
For about the last 20 years, Jordan L. Hurston.
Yeah.
I went to Eatonville,
Mhm.
walked up and down the street. The museum wasn't ready yet, but they just had a little thing at an old gas station there. But
Oh, nice.
but I'm still, and her work is still coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Things that they wouldn't publish back then.
Right. Exactly.
And then stories. I just think she's wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Awesome. Speaking of reading and writing, Darla,
Yes.
you have some artifacts, an antique, a classic. Tell us about it. You kept a journal from 25 years ago.
Yeah, it's like falling apart. Well, yes, our junior year we had Mr. Doyle. He was our English teacher, and he had us do a journal. So he usually would put up a question on the board, and we would have to answer it every day. I think it was for the entire school year, but sometimes they were questions about current affairs. Sometimes they were just questions about what was your favorite horror movie. So they kind of ran the gambit in terms of what we answered. Sometimes we had free choice where we can write about anything. Let me see. One entry, it says, if you could give one gift to a person, what would it be and who would you give it to? So another one was, is Valentine's Day a good holiday or just an excuse to sell merchandise? So he definitely gave
How many girls did you get mad about that? I wonder what
and I got a
mine
grade
was.
here. It's a 41, so that was an A.
A 41?
Yeah, I don't know what his grading scale was, but it says great
No,
job.
it was
So it was an
41
A.
entries.
Oh,
So
it
you
was
had
41.
Oh,
Okay.
what scale is a
No,
41?
and I wasn't grading it like ABC,
Okay.
but it kind of came out to be because that was like a 100.
Okay.
Because if you
So it's still
answered
A.
it every day,
Mhm.
that was what I was looking
Yeah.
for.
Were there people that didn't want to do it ever?
Look at that handwriting. I don't even think
It's
cursive
crazy.
is so not a thing.
Yeah, I don't think they teach cursive anymore.
It's not taught. That's for sure. I can tell you
Yeah.
that.
But yeah, this is probably like a relic and probably needs to be donated to somebody's museum.
It
But
should. You had really nice handwriting.
well, thank you. Yeah. Like I said, we had English all year. And I really like that project because I'm a writer, so I
Mhm.
love to write. So I love answering the questions and things
Yeah.
like that.
So
I was doing more to get you to thinking
Yeah.
than writing. I mean, you
Right.
had to express yourself,
Yeah.
obviously, but just to think about something that was going on.
Yeah.
yeah,
Because one of the entries was about the school shooting at Main Building. So
which was in our long range project
Yes.
with Miss Merle.
Yes.
So they all crossed over.
Yep.
So that was interesting.
Yeah.
Speaking of notebooks, there was other notebooks that floated around that were
Really?
like, a slam book or whatever it was called.
Geez, see who
Where-
was sending that around?
Probably the same person that wrote your note, Megan. So
Probably.
we're going to find
Reggie.
that person. Don't worry. Reggie, the people are Reggie, you're going to have to come defend yourself because Darla has a bone to pick.
See, I was just gonna say, Darla
But-
one that did that, and I don't
But
think we,
so the book, well, we don't have to get into what the book said, but the book was kind of like you pick a number and like it was fun to talk with your friends about stuff that was in the book and, just gossiping and things like that. In you all's friend group, right? It was a mixture. It was Black children, white children, so Asian. So did race ever come up in your friend group as a conversation, or was it ever a thing? Like, did it ever play a part outside of the note? Did you all feel like you had to defend each of your friends, or was it ever, maybe it wasn't an issue amongst you all, but did you all feel like it was a issue outside of your friend group?
I think I wasn't as aware of myself and like, my race and my culture back then. Like I really was just kind of like in my own world. Like I befriended who befriended me. So eventually, like towards senior year, I was kind of like cool with everybody. I would talk to everybody, but things like that. But I didn't become more aware of my race until after I left high school. Yeah, I felt like Moat was predominantly Black, and so I wound up going to a predominantly white institution where it got real quick, like, being followed around in like the local mall to, other white girls. They wanted to touch my hair, see how it felt. So I definitely became more aware, and it made me think about instances like back in high school. I don't remember like the no thing, but I knew it was definitely a thing because I hung around like all the white girls. So
yeah, for me, I don't think it was ever an issue between us, but I was always in a position where I always had multicultural friends.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Patterson, I went to Pepper, I went to Motivation.
Yeah.
There was always just,
A diverse group.
it was always diverse. So I always knew there wasn't more of me, but I never really thought about it like that. So I never really, I know, but like outside of high school, all of my friends were white.
Okay.
And it's funny because I have a friend that grew up in the military and she hopped around a lot. And she had said to me maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, and I didn't think about it. And I actually brought up Darla, almost like my token Black friend, which sounds so stupid. But I was trying to explain to her. She said, I grew up on an army base. There was no race. You protect your, when you're in the military, it's different. Like you protect your own. Her daughter is half Black. She's like, you guys have no friends that aren't white. And I'm like, we don't. I'm like, but that's in the neighborhood that I grew up with. That's Jen Mundy was my best friend from 4th grade to 8th grade.
Jen is Puerto Rican.
Jen is half Black, half Puerto Rican.
Half Black, half Puerto Rican. Okay.
So, but after that, I was like, when I went to high school, I was like, I always had different types of friends. It wasn't all white. but that's not what she sees. But then I
Right.
thought about it. I'm like, wow, like all of our friends are white.
Yeah.
All of our friends
And,
are
and
white.
I do kind of notice, like I noticed that after we like got cool on social media, like I was like, oh, where's all like
There isn't. It's not purposely, but it's
and
just.
then another girl that I used to hang with, like Rosie, like well, I think she still has one token black friend. She does have a token black
Oh, we're
friend.
gonna keep calling them the token black friend.
I mean,
mean-
that's like, because that's what I feel like that's like sometimes white people will say that. Like, I have one black
Oh, yeah.
friend or whatever. Like, good for you.
And like right now, like a lot of my friends are black. I do talk to everybody, but a lot of my friends are black, and it's crazy because after college, I became really militant. Like, so I think I scared off like a lot of the white people that were like I was friends with on social media because I was trying to speak up about stuff that was affecting us, like that doesn't affect them. So I mean, the ones like weeded themselves off that needed to be weeded off,
Right.
but it's definitely interesting dynamic like now that we're in our 30s and 40s like
I think I will agree with you because I think times have certainly changed for sure. I feel like for the most part, I have the same views as you, where other people that may have written you off don't see the issues. It's not that they are, it's not that they don't, they're racist or whatever. They just can't see it. And I think that you help me see it more. So I appreciate that you say it. There may be some things that sometimes I'm like, I don't agree with it, but I appreciate that you say it. Other people can't do that for whatever reason.
And
I don't know why.
I think that's the part that keeps different races separate. Because you don't have to necessarily, you're not going to have the same experience as me. But if you're closed off to even understanding or listening to that experience and accepting that it can be somebody else's experience, then you're never going to be able to mix and intertwine with someone outside of your race anyway.
Yeah.
So to your point about, with Darla, like you're open to hearing her viewpoint, her experience, her whatever she's sharing, and others are not. And they're kind of like, what? They're like brushing it off. Well, that's why we're always going to stay separate. You know what I mean?
Like she'll always say, I'm raising a black man. I understand that. Some people would be like, some white people, I think, well, she's black. Of course she's raising a black man.
Right.
Like they don't understand
but don't know the impact
what
of that.
they mean, what she means by that and
Correct.
how it affects her life every single day.
Right. True.
And I think, that's just people being willing to be educated and some people aren't.
Right.
Some people just want this fluffy Facebook life and they don't want to see or hear all of that.
Right.
I remember Katie hit me up when she was still on social media, and this was right around the George Floyd thing. And I was on a rant, like of course I'm like I'm afraid for my young black son and all that. And I was telling him why, because I was like, like I have to have a conversation with him, like regarding the police. Like I have to let him know what to do, what to say, what not to do, what not to say, versus, my white friends not having to do that. Like they don't have to have that conversation. And she hit me up in the inbox. She was like, I didn't think about it that way. I was like, well, I hope you do now.
You impacted her though.
Yeah.
You made her understand. And that's what I think is important. I think it's important when you say things like that. Again, even if someone doesn't think it, you're opening their mind up to think like, oh, wow. Like, I never
But I
saw
think
it
that's
like
also
that.
the point is that you don't have to think about it because it's not your reality.
Right.
Mr. Doyle, and your time at Motivation, did race ever be, not necessarily with you as a teacher, but did you see race as a concern in any years between children? Like that become a thing at any point?
I'm listening to this and I'm thinking, I taught predominantly in black situations, almost exclusively. I mean, and I remember when I went to Shoemaker, I grew up in the suburbs. I grew up in Lansdowne, the same town I live in.
Okay.
I went to Catholic school, and out of like 60 kids in my class, I think there were 8 black children, like 3 boys and maybe 5 girls. And we didn't really think about it too much at all. I mean, honestly, we didn't. But when I started teaching, the younger children, Shoemaker was junior high. So it was 7th grade. But we'd have advisory. advisory was, what do you do in advisory? You know what I mean? It's just like a
used to
wasted
love
time,
advisory.
you know?
Oh, so
So the kids,
as long as that's consistent, because our advisor, no.
kids want to talk. And so
Yeah.
it was a good time for that, you know, for bonding, for me to bond with
Right.
the kids. Kids wanted to touch my hair. They asked permission to touch my hair. I said, well, yeah, knock yourself out, you know? And then they want to know, how often do you wash it? You know, you just,
Was it gray at the time?
well, I know how it went gray. My very first year teaching, I had identical twins, Doris and Loris. And
Oh,
they had-
wow.
They had just moved up from South Carolina and had spent the summer pulling tobacco.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
These
wow.
girls were country girls, and they were just so nice. And one of them, I think, had a crush on me. She and I liked her. You know, I really did. They were just so cute, and they were very different. They were country girls. They were different than most of the kids in the class. And one day during advisory, Loris, which the one that I think, you know, we had a special bond. She goes behind me, and I didn't, you know, I wasn't afraid you're going to hurt me or anything. And all of a sudden, whoa, what'd you do? She says, I pulled this gray hair out because my grandmom says if you pull it out, you won't go gray. Loris, if you're listening, okay, doesn't work.
theory was
you know?
wrong.
Yeah.
You were wrong, Lauren.
But, and then when I was at Pepper, they had very few fifth and some 6th. And each year I seemed like I had to teach one of those classes. And those kids were very open about asking questions about race. You know, be they white or be they black. They would just ask a question,
Right.
you know, and, you know, I would try and honestly answer it. That was stupid stuff. You know, like, how often do you have to wash your hair? You know, and if I said every day, they said, every day? You do that every day? You know,
Right.
you know, that they just, I said, well, that's the way it works, you know. But they were more open to asking questions like that. And it was an experience for me because I came from, it was a predominantly white town, but there was a large number of blacks in the town. It wasn't like I never saw a black person before.
Right.
But I never saw a whole room full of black person, people looking at me saying, what are we doing today? You know?
Right.
You know? So it was very interesting for me. And I had to catch myself because when you first get married and you have friends you've known for a long time, everyone's getting married at the same time and come over, we'll have a party and all that kind. And everybody was, you know, an engineer or going into business or finance or something. And I was like the school teacher guy, you know. She said, well, you teach in Philadelphia. Oh, you know, everybody's bad in Philadelphia. I said, well, you know, no. And they'd ask me, well, what's this? And I would tell them stories that were true. And I stopped doing that because I thought, you know, I think they're taking this not out of context because the things really did happen.
Right.
But I thought, I'm feeding into their
Right.
mess.
Right.
And I don't want to be that way, you know? So I would only say positive things
Oh, good.
That's
after that
awesome.
because I thought, I don't want to do that. You know?
Right.
I mean, my father was from down south. He was definitely old school. And I'd show him the class picture. I'd be the one white guy in the middle with the, and he'd go, oh man. And I'd say, you know.
Yeah.
But I came to that realization early on, and I just stopped.
Yeah.
You know, so it just, you know.
And I think I think everybody plays a part, right? And everybody has to play their part. And so hearing that a part of your part that you played was to stop feeding the narrative of the stereotypical behaviors of Black children, I think is salute worthy, right?
Yeah,
Because
we salute you.
it's definitely something that is a narrative, without people talking about all the things that impact why Black children may be doing or living or however, whatever the topic is. So, you know, anytime somebody is an ally or cast down ideals that are false about Black people, I definitely take a moment to acknowledge it because I think it's necessary. And to your point, Megan, until everybody starts to be open about either their own beliefs or biases or misunderstandings, will always continue to stay segregated. So,
Well, I had a job teaching. You didn't used to get paid through the year. That was a concession that was made by the teachers union to get less each month, and then
And spread
the
it
school
through the
district
year.
could play with that money,
right.
you know. And then, but we got paid all summer, so you had to have a job in the summer because everything stopped, you know, and it was some serious stuff. You know, you have a family. I mean, I got married, And within the first less than a year, we had first child, and then the next year we had that child, and the next year we had the next child. It was
Y'all
like,
kept it going.
got to get some capital coming in here. So my first year, my in-laws knew somebody, blah, 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 blah. And I worked for the Redevelopment Authority. Now, you don't remember the Redevelopment Authority, but the Redevelopment Authority was a city agency, and they would decide what would go on in different neighborhoods. And so I was an inspector. I never went out by myself. I always went out with somebody who was their full-time job. This was definitely like a nepotism kind of. I didn't know anybody nepotism, but that I got the job because I knew somebody,
Right.
and it was like a gift. But you had to go in. They would determine a neighborhood that was going to be under redevelopment, and then they would start buying every house. And the houses were condemned. It was an eminent domain, so they would start buying every house on the block or for the 3-block area, whatever. They didn't want to leave the houses vacant, so the people could stay and pay rent, or somebody else would move in and pay rent to the
Right.
redevelopment. So there were people living in there. I was basically working for the landlord. So you had to come in and make sure that they were safe,
Right.
if there was something. And going into people's homes, and these are people that were just really poor people. I mean, I remember one house we went in, and they had taken down the staircase to the second floor. It wasn't there. They had burned it in the fireplace to keep warm. And there was no water in the house. They were going out to the fire hydrant for it. Now, when we saw that, we said, well, we'll fix it. You'll get the water.
Right.
But they were afraid to ask for anything because they thought it would cause them more trouble.
Right.
But working that job, and it was West Mill Creek, Mantua, places that were
At the time.
heavy duty poverty
Yeah.
going on there. And it really changed my whole perspective. I mean, I came to the city because I was idealistic,
Okay.
and I thought, I'm one person, I can make a change. And I thought, not a big change, but I had the idea of one person at a time.
Okay.
If I'm nice to somebody
Yeah.
and they don't like white people, and I'm nice to somebody, they can say, well, there was this one guy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
For sure.
And I was being educated. As much as I was educating people, I was being educated.
Right.
And seeing that, having that experience with the Redevelopment Authority really kind of defined me, because
Yeah.
the headquarters is over by Sulzberger.
Okay. Yeah.
And it was, I think about it, and I was very happy I had that job.
Awesome.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
Do you
I-
Has
think
it changed you?
Sorry.
No,
Do you
go ahead.
think that now that I'm just thinking of the teachers that have impacted us, I kind of feel like may have all had that same point of view. Miss Powell, Miss Merrill, the Warshalls,
Mhm.
Mr. Natali.
Miss Powell's mixed up.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah, Miss Powell.
No, I just mean didn't matter what like
Not the
race, but just
oh,
like
okay. Yeah.
that they wanted to come in, they wanted to make a difference, they
Mhm.
they didn't care what color you were.
Mhm.
Like it just like
We had good
if they
teachers.
could
Yeah.
make a point to change someone's life, however,
They would.
they would.
Yeah.
And it was just, I think of other teachers that went through there, and I'm like, whew.
Yeah.
But then there's that, the core of what, five?
Yeah.
Well, motivation was a magical place.
It was
I mean, it
magical.
really was.
That's
you
a
know.
good description.
It was a magical place.
I would agree with that.
I would agree too.
So speaking of magic and just all things idealistic and really making a difference and things like that, when we were seniors, we decided, well, some people decided to make a difference and to make a change because some people felt that they were marginalized when it came to our annual Olympic Games. You
I
remember
was
the
waiting
Olympics?
for this one.
Those
Okay,
top tiers.
let's go.
Those top
So-
tiers.
So this particular year, there were 2 teams, and the teams split up a friend group. Probably not intentional, who knows? But the friend group was very upset about that. So,
Can
we
I
just-
ask a question first?
Yes, sure.
Because somebody brought this up before.
hmm
What friend group?
This comes up on every episode.
No, but I'm saying, but what does the what friend group come up?
Yeah, it was. They were. I don't remember who the captains were, but they were trying to separate the top tier. In Darla's words,
They
so we're trying to separate all the cool people, if you will, or whatever the case is.
I had a very different vision. That's why I'm asking, because that is not what I thought happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the group decided, we all decided to start our own group. And it was called For the Olympics.
No, it wasn't. It was called F the Olympics. Come on.
FDO. Okay. If your version,
Principal Zenobia, I know. I'm sorry. But
well,
it was F.
I plead the fifth to protect the innocent. So
She
Mrs.
can't say
Doyle,
it, but we can say
do
it.
you
FDO.
remember? Yeah, well, they can say whatever. So do you remember this time where we all went outside for day one of the games? It was this team, the Rough Riders, and the
whack ass No Limit Soldiers.
Was that year or wasn't it the year before? Because that was the good year.
Was
I
it
feel
a
like
year?
we had all 3 Olympics were the best time ever.
yeah,
and-
2 Olympics, and then the last one probably wasn't the
This
best.
FDO was our senior, wasn't it?
Yeah.
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 So every year, but I thought the Rough Rider one, that's when we had the songs and the raps and all of that, and we had fun.
Was that junior year?
I feel like this.
It's not in my journal.
Whatever
No, I
year
know.
it was,
I'd like to know, but
Darla wasn't on the team she was on. She didn't like
me.
So,
But can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Or can I just say what I thought it was, maybe, and that'll help?
sure.
I feel like Corey,
Uh-huh.
and I don't remember. Maybe Julian, maybe Gary. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm gonna call out the names because everybody knows who. they
Yeah,
are.
let's go.
Sup, Gary?
I feel like they were the
So
cap.
Julie.
I don't remember how the captains were
Yours
picked,
very accurate.
right?
Keep going.
I swear I remember that all the cool people and all the athletes were put on one team, and then everyone else was put on the other, and
So-
then the teachers caught on to that. I didn't know that a group. That's why I was confused. I'm like, I didn't hear about
So
a group
no,
split.
it was. So if you're right, because this story continues to evolve every time.
Yeah.
If you're right, what happened was if the teachers caught on, they switched it
yeah.
or they split it, and then people were on different teams. Somebody is going to come on here and tell the exact story correctly because we all have 20 years of
I would
gray
love to know
matter in
that.
our brains. So, and because it was split, because the groups were split, then it was, they weren't having, whoever.
Because if the cool kids and the athletes were put on one and then the others were put on the other and
It
then they
would've been
got caught,
unfair.
they tried to fix it real
Right,
quick.
they tried to
split the
balance it out,
team,
right.
But then that friend group was like, oh, you're going to split
You're
me up.
splitting
And
us
then
up.
that
We're not
caused-
being split up.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, to their point, they kind of had to do it so they didn't get in trouble, right? They
I
had
guess.
to split it, maybe?
Yeah. I don't know. I
I'm
don't know the details.
Yeah, I'm
But-
only thinking that because why was FDO to protest the Olympic? I thought FDO was to protest the teachers and say like, oh,
No.
like we're not getting our way. We totally did it.
Yeah. I guess.
We put all the cool and athletes on one team, got caught. Now we're not going to do the Olympics because we got caught, and we're going to do the Olympics. That was right. Is that
Yeah,
kind of how you took
that
it?
might be true. I don't
kind
know.
of feel like it might have been. I remember it.
Whatever
vividly.
part where they split us up, split the
I didn't
the
realize
group up.
that happened. I
Yeah.
think.
Whatever that happened, it was a no-go.
Yeah.
So for the Olympics, with a D, was
Mhm.
started. So, Mr. Doyle, do you remember this?
Basically, I wasn't that interested in the Olympics.
Oh.
I really wasn't. I mean, you know,
Okay.
I
You
remember.
thought it was a waste of 2 good days of instruction, huh?
No, I'm all for fun, you
Okay.
know, but I just wasn't that interested.
Okay.
But I do remember the.
Was it like teacher lounge talk? Like these kids came with these shirts on and they were in their own group, or no, you weren't.
Well,
There
it
wasn't even a teacher lounge
group because we didn't have a lounge.
Right.
I was
Okay.
thinking
Got it. Okay. Got it.
There
the
was
main office.
there was the idea. I do remember that they didn't want to have all the athletes on one team,
Right.
you know, because
It would
there
be
were
unfair.
physical
You're
activities, you
stacking
know,
Yeah.
and so they did split things up.
Mhm.
I don't think it was maliciously done.
Mhm.
You know, it was just they wanted to try and be fair, you know, and they had they had the captains
Yeah.
pick the teams,
Mm-hmm.
and they had to be approved, of course.
Mhm.
But that's about all I know. Yeah.
So the idea of a group of children in some
I love
people's
that you keep calling
viewpoint.
us children and not teenagers.
Teenager. Okay, I'm sorry. Teenagers. We were
'Cause
we were
knew, people
full
knew a
grown
little
teenagers.
better.
Yeah. Oh, we knew better.
Yeah.
But did you look at that, or thinking back on it, did you think it was revolutionary and empowering, or did you think it was a group of teenagers teenaging too hard?
I thought it was silly.
Okay.
Mm.
You know, that was my take on it. I mean,
Yeah.
but you know, I'm approaching it as an adult.
Of course, of course.
I
As
mean,
one of the teachers.
the people that were protesting were very serious about it. You know,
Mhm.
but what did you want to do? You know, did you want to have one team be top loaded with, you know, with all the people that had the most physical talent?
Right.
Because that was the whole idea of the Olympics. We didn't have gym,
Right.
so we had to have the Olympics,
Correct.
which I thought was pretty silly. You could get away with that, you know.
Right,
but,
right.
But I just thought, let's just have fun, you know. Kids were
Right.
going down the gallery and getting airbrush shirts and stuff, you know, and
They were going to who?
down to the gallery. And
Oh, I thought you said Gary.
No,
I was
no,
like,
I thought he did.
Gary,
somebody
you
was
in trouble
They
too.
had an airbrush person.
We
make
did have
t-shirts.
shirts, right? Didn't
So we
Yeah.
didn't go to the gallery.
Didn't we have shirts though, or just FDO definitely had shirts?
Oh,
but
yeah.
Didn't we have shirts?
Each team?
Yeah.
I think each team had a shirt.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I
don't
think we
remember.
did.
But the FDO shirts were homemade.
Mm-hmm.
They were authentic.
Mhm.
They were custom design. Whatever you want to say about it. Yeah.
I just kind of feel like, to me, it upset me then, and it upsets me now. Obviously, wow, taking it back, I must have feel some type of way, but I feel like it ruined a good thing.
Okay.
Right? Like that was something that the whole school always looked forward to. That's the reason I loved motivation. Like we
Right.
had Battle of the Sexes. We had like there was always fun activities.
Yeah.
And when that happened, and then there were people like, well, I didn't get my way. And I'm just from my point of view.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I didn't get my way. I'm going to make t-shirts. I'm going to protest. There was one specific person, again, same person that gave me the finger, that was real extra. And I'm like,
Damn, who is it?
I'll
Who
tell you
gave you
after.
the
I'm
fee?
not- I'm
Okay,
not-
he'll tell us after. It's
um,
exclusive
but
footage.
I just remember she was being rude about it. Like that everyone else decided to go. All the other kids were like, we still want to do the Olympics.
Right.
We're still going to have fun. And she was just very like mad.
Mhm.
But why?
Right.
Like, I don't understand it in general. I really don't. And
Yeah.
that's,
Well, that's the way I viewed it. I'm going to take my ball and go home.
yeah.
You know, that kind of a thing.
Mhm.
And I know Miss Kavanaugh was very upset about it
Oh, she was livid.
because she lived for the Olympics. She
It was
loved
Yeah.
fun. That's
Yeah.
what I mean.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
just such a great thing
Yeah.
that we did every year. And for us being seniors, we were supposed to show the juniors how to do it the next year better,
Mhm.
right? Like we were,
And they wound up shutting it down too, like the next year, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
They
which
wound up-
sucks
They shut
because
down the
then
Olympics.
like I had three. I'll tell you, I grew up 2 doors down from a family that I'm still very, very close with. 4 of them went to motivation because I went to motivation.
Mhm.
Because I said, we have the things you think.
Right.
We have the Olympics. You'll do Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah,
You're going to
which
love
was
the
fun.
teachers.
Mhm.
I told people to go there for those memories.
Right.
And they didn't get them.
Mhm.
And that sucks to me
Yeah.
because it's just something that didn't have to really go that way.
Mhm.
It could have been done differently. I mean, I don't know. I don't really.
Well, I think that's your perspective.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's fair. Did you feel that way in high school, or is this a retrospective kind of idea that
No,
you
that's
came
what I'm saying. I felt that way
Then.
in high school
Okay,
too.
got it.
I was
Okay.
like, why are we ruining such a fun
Mhm.
thing?
Yeah.
That's how I got upset about it because I'm not someone. I feel like I'm always going to do the right thing or what I think is the right thing,
Uh-huh.
and I think about others all the time and a little too much. Like I put others before me. Like, well, those people will get mad if I do that.
Mhm.
To an extent, it is probably a problem,
Right.
But do you know what I mean? Like I would
Yeah.
think about all the other people I'm affecting that,
Mhm.
you know, they're fun.
right.
That's how I
Right.
see it.
But it's funny you're saying that because there was a period where they wanted to do standardized curriculum. And motivation, everybody had their own idea. Everybody did their own thing. Like Mrs. Warshaw with the plays and all. They told her she couldn't do that anymore.
Oh wow.
Really?
You know?
Really?
They brought in manuals. And
Oh.
it was a deal where everybody in the school district was doing the same thing in 11th grade English the same day.
Right.
And in the corner, there was a little clock and it was shaded out, like 8 minutes of
Oh, okay.
pre-class work
Yeah.
and then 14
So a
minutes. of
direct
the-
instruction program, very scripted.
yeah. And it was like, you know, and they said, oh, you have to have that on your desk.
Mhm.
People are coming around check and this and that. And they were taking everything that made motivation special away.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's the way I felt.
Yeah,
what you're
like,
saying
it's
about
upsetting
It
to
took the
do that.
uniqueness out
yeah,
of it.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can
and I mean,
yeah.
you say, well, we have 100% college acceptance. You know?
Right. So
We're
leave
doing-
us alone, basically.
Yeah.
We
We're
know
doing-
what we're doing.
We're doing something right.
Yeah.
Right.
Go bother the other people.
Exactly.
Right,
You know?
right.
Right.
Kids want to come to school.
Yeah.
But I asked, I did a funny thing. And I thought, okay. I went to the principal. And the principal was a lady who had a nervous breakdown and had to be carried out of one school.
Oh, wow.
And then they made her principal of Bartram. I thought, well, of course they're making her the principal of Bartram. So I went to her and I said, you know, I'm having trouble with this because I've been teaching a long time and, you know, what we're doing works. You know, can you come and show me how to do it? She goes, okay, I'll come and show you. So she was supposed to come every day, like the fifth period, like right after lunch. She comes in and believe it or not, she had little zoo animals, giraffes and tigers and all, with the kids' names on them. And she wanted the kids to wear them. And I thought,
That's all.
these are juniors.
Yeah,
You know?
what?
This isn't like a field trip to the zoo with the
Yeah.
fourth grade.
Right,
you know?
right.
So the kids are going, I don't got, just do it. Well, she came and then she stopped coming. And I had to be ready. I told the kids, just play along with her and let's see what happens. She came to me after 3 weeks and she said, you know, I think you probably are okay. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about the curriculum. You know, just keep doing what you're doing. I thought,
Okay.
but she didn't want to come back.
Right.
You know,
Right.
But I thought, oh, thank
Yeah.
you, Jesus. You know,
Yeah. All right. We're running out of time. So we got two more things to discuss. Drama. In drama class, you had us doing recordings of performances. We had to do improv. Drama class was the first class I saw. Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Oh my
Right.
God, I
Remember that show?
Yeah.
Mhm.
They used to make
and-
us do it. Didn't
Yeah, we had to do
Yeah.
improvs in there. And then you had us doing a music video. So, Megan, you brought up earlier how those moments, while it was nerve-wracking for you, it kind of also leveled the playing field
Mhm.
because everybody was nervous and embarrassed and things like that. So, was your purpose to make us all feel awkward, or what was the story behind us doing all these videos and improvs and all of
well,
that?
to think on your feet, and everybody likes to look at themselves
Mm-hmm.
on a film. You know, they're always if I brought in a pack of pictures, you say, "Ooh, let me see," and you're pretending like you're interested in other people. You're looking for yourself. You know, so
That's true.
that was the
you look for
idea.
yourself first. Absolutely.
So put yourself in a situation where you're made mildly uncomfortable,
Mm-hmm.
and then see how it comes through. And it was done for fun,
Yeah.
but there was a purpose behind it.
Awesome.
Now you're going to ask me where the tapes went.
Yeah. Where to
Okay. I don't think I have those tapes, and I'll tell you what happened. When I left Motivation, you can imagine I was there for 13 years or something.
Right.
I mean, I had a ton of stuff in my
Uh-huh.
closet. There was a closet as you come in my room, the big room in the front. There was it was a narrow door, and it was a closet. I didn't have a key to it for like 10 years. And finally said, what's in there? Well, that's where they had the old photo albums, because every year the senior class made a photo album,
Right.
like a personalized yearbook,
Mm-hmm.
and that stayed at the school, and that was in there. So I put stuff in there,
Mm-hmm.
and when I was leaving, I wasn't thinking about that. I had the closet behind that, which was huge, and I had so much stuff to take out of there.
Right.
I was thinking this the other day, even before you contacted me about it. I thought, geez, you know, I'll bet you all that stuff just got trashed.
Yep.
Mm.
You know, all those memory books or whatever you want to call them, photo albums, scrapbooks.
So if we found our way into motivation today, which is no longer motivation,
Right.
and went in your room, it's not going to be there.
Well, I left them there, but that was
You don't know what happened next.
Yeah, I mean, but that was like, it was a weird closet, you know?
Yeah,
I mean,
it was awkward.
it could be that they're still in there.
Mm-hmm.
It could be. I mean, I have no idea.
That was
Now,
crazy.
Sounds like a field trip.
Yeah.
if-
You know what's funny about those tapes? Every year, and this is just going to be a note to you and how you affected my life. Our senior year, somebody from the AV person made a video.
Mhm.
You probably don't remember this because you probably had to have this talk to millions of people, not just me. But it was up to me to make our class senior video.
Mhm.
And I didn't make it.
Because I'm like, where's the video?
Megan didn't want to get up early. I had the senioritis. Megan did not want to get up early.
Oh man.
And so embarrassing. It affected me so much that, our move up day or whatever, when we go to Pepper, you showed that at the end of the year and we had to watch the year before's. And I was like, and you pulled me aside and you were right before and you were like, Megan, if you're going to go to college, and you say you're going to do something, you have to do it.
Yeah.
And I still feel bad. So I'm sorry, class of 2001. We don't have a video. And I do feel bad, but that has impacted me so much later because I've finished everything I've started since then. Because I know that it was I'm so upset that I don't have that tape for this purpose now.
Right.
Because how great would that be?
Yeah.
That would have been great.
So,
but I think the lesson is even greater.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
And so you can look back over 20 years and know everything you start, you finished because of that moment, which was very pivotal.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It totally was.
All right. So you're here. You saw some episodes. You kind of saw what was happening, and then Darla made you do it.
Can't make me.
So
Yes.
what is your ploy to? I mean, you have some people you've called out today, Reggie.
See, that's what I don't want. Don't put me on the couch with them next time.
No. But tell people why they should come on. So you came on. You got to tell your story. You got to share a few things. Was it fun? How do you feel? What do you want to say to the people?
I have to say, I was looking at high school while I had so many great experiences and I had so many great friendships, I really looked at high school ew. Mm-hmm. Until this moment, right? I was I just didn't feel like I had a great experience. And doing this made me remember the really good experiences too. Where I usually focused on the bad.
Right.
Just thinking about us getting arrested and things like that.
Wow,
that
we should have talked about that 30 minutes
that'll be
ago.
another episode.
Okay, awesome.
So quickly, we went to the African American Museum with Mr. Natali.
Yes.
And he says, all right, everybody can go. It was 12:30. Go home. We didn't have buses. We took the trolley or whatever to get to our. He never gave us permission slips. So we're all let's go to the gallery.
Mr. Natali.
Let's go. We go to the gallery. A police officer with a paddy wagon comes up and goes, "Let me see your ID." And we're like, "We don't have ID." And they're like, "Well, you're supposed to be in school." We're like, "We were on a school trip. Where's your trip slip?" We don't have one. They put us all in the back of a dark paddy wagon and brought us to a school.
Palumbo.
What?
And with all these bad kids that were really hookieing. And
cracking up.
Rosemary and Katie were laughing the whole time. And me and Darla were crying because we were good kids and we didn't get arrested.
And I feel like I started bawling when they were like, "Yeah, we got to put you in the back of the paddy wagon."
It was dark in there.
And it was a 20-minute ride in the dark. And I didn't know what was going on. I was like, I need to call my dad.
How did you get home from Palumbo?
Oh, they gave us tokens. My mom didn't pick me up.
My daddy came and picked me up. I thought he was going to be so mad at me, but I was like, it wasn't my fault.
But they gave us homework to do while we were waiting, and me and Darla were like, "What's on page 3?" And all the other kids was like, "We're not doing it." And me and Darla were like, "We'll do it." But the next day, Mrs. Kavanaugh put us on blast on the loudspeaker and was like, "Sorry to the girls that got arrested yesterday," joking. And we were mortified. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And the whole school.
I wrote about it in my journal.
Did you?
Miss Cav wasn't a fan fave of mine.
It was funny. It was, I guess now it was, but my mom was like, "You can take the 7, whatever." I was in South Philly. Take the Broad Street line to the 37 and the 37 to 36. I don't know.
Well, that's always
Find your way home.
That's my G story. I tell people, I was arrested before.
Once. Me too.
Yeah. So.
That's hilarious. Okay. So after this arrest story, but this opportunity allowed you to reflect on the good things,
of course,
and not just kind of focus on the bad.
Yep.
Okay. So Darla, you're a recurring act at this point, but what would you say to the people?
I say come out and do it.
And do you want are you calling anyone on the carpet?
I mean, Reggie, if you want to come out, so we can have a conversation, that'd be great. No. But I think it's a good opportunity for the different, even the different tiers to come out and tell your side of the story, how you experienced high school, how everything was for you. I think that's the most enjoyable part because I've seen a couple episodes now and the different perspectives. It's interesting. And it's good to see how some people have grown. Yeah. I don't know if Reggie's grown though. We don't know. We got to get him on here. But
we're going to find Reggie because y'all have given him the business today.
She's giving him the business. I just said his name.
Listen.
You lit the spark. She set off the fire.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So, Mr. Doyle,
God.
in your class, when we were in class, we did videos. I still have my video. I did the Temptations, My Girl, me and my group. We killed it. You had notebooks where we were writing all these things that are memories for us years and years later. What does this experience mean to you, and why do you think what do you think about it? Do you think it's a good idea that we are reflecting and bringing everybody back as we gear up for the reunion? And then what would you say to the rest of the class of 2001?
I think it's a great idea. I mean, I like it because as a teacher, you don't know who you reached and who you didn't reach, you know, and you meet somebody and they say, I remembered your class, you did this. And I thought, yeah, we did do that. You know, I met a girl in the Target the other day and she went on and on and on. And my wife, you know, she's very patient. She's like, somebody else found them, you know, and I don't see people. I mean, I'm very visible. I'm all over Delaware County and Southwest Philadelphia, but that made my day. You know, when I see somebody and they say, we had fun, or I remember this. And I don't know whether you remember, but every year on election day, I took the junior class on a trip. And I did that because they were voting in my room. And they said, you'll have to go to a different classroom every class, carry all your books and everything, and go to whoever was on a prep.
Right.
I had to go in their classroom and teach. I said, no, I don't think so. So I didn't mind going on trips. So I would plan these trips, and it didn't really cost any money because, as you say, everybody uses a token to get to school.
Right.
If they didn't, we could certainly buy a bag of tokens and do that. So, and you were old enough to travel by yourself. So, I mean, we went to, you know, the aquarium and then the museum on the other side of the river, and had lunch in Independence Hall, things that a lot of kids had never done. Even if they live in Philadelphia, they never saw the Liberty Bell. You know, they never went to Independence Hall, things like that. And I'm a little bit of a history buff, so I thought that was great. And when we go to Camden, we go over on the ferry, you know, and I got pictures of all that stuff. I just had to find it. But it's fun. It's fun. It was fun for me. I liked doing it. I didn't think it was a big deal. I always give out permission slips. You know?
Thank you.
You and Mr. Natali,
Very different.
Different
Very,
methods,
very
different
different.
methodologies.
No
but
rules,
two great
Natali.
people. Absolutely.
rules.
There's no rule, Natali.
The other thing was, so I have pictures. You know, still pictures. I took a lot of pictures, and I went to the girls' volleyball games and the girls' softball games, and I have a lot of pictures from that. They were my personal pictures, and I would put them up on the bulletin board in the back of the room so people could see them. The other thing was, I had a project that went on for years. We were on the front page of the Globe almost every week because I'd get somebody to write a story, and I'd have to kind of tweak it a little bit, you know. But I always had a picture and a story, and every Friday afternoon I'd take it to the Globe office, and they loved it, you know.
Awesome.
And it was good for us. It was publicity for motivation.
Right.
So I have a bunch of them too kicking around. And I also have, when we did the announcements, was that during your era? We were doing the announcements? What we did was this. We had the radio class do the announcements. And so we had like a theme song and stuff like that. And things came up accidentally. Like, for example, we had this, I went to California. My son lives out there. And there was this place, Roscoe's Chicken, which is kind of famous. And it was in the hood, you know, it was kind of cool. So we went there, and I decided to come up with this Roscoe thing. And we had Roscoe as the pet. I did not know that Mr. Natali's nickname was Roscoe.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't common knowledge at the time. So we had this running gag where Roscoe was kidnapped, you know, and it really caught on. And somebody slipped an envelope under my door, and it was a bunch of feathers. we have Roscoe if you want him back.
Oh my goodness.
No homework for a month, you know, and stuff like that.
That's funny.
But it was something just to do for fun. But those individual segments, I have all of them on tape. I don't have them on disc, but I have them on tape. And that was like, we had a theme song to start, and then we had people do commercials about the upcoming events.
I remember
the
that.
announcement.
I do
Now that you
remember
say
that.
that,
Yeah, I'm like, I think I
definitely
remember that.
So we didn't do it every day. I think we did it twice a week or maybe 3 times a week. And that was kind of a fun thing.
When it's time for the actual reunion, we can tap into you for some of these things.
Sure.
Okay, great. And then lastly, how do you feel seeing 3 on camera, 2 off camera, but you see the impact. We're all grown, professional, all the things. How does that make you feel as one of our educators?
Oh, it makes you feel
from high
great,
school?
obviously, to see people be successful. I mean, my goal in teaching, and I'm sure if you remember, I said, you have to be successful because I'm going to be old, sitting on my front porch with a bowl of oatmeal and an napkin around my shoulders, and I'll be waiting for the mailman to bring my Social Security check. So you got to pay into the system so
Right.
I can enjoy it, you know?
You're good. We're not.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think you're safe. Okay,
Yes.
it's over after that. Okay, awesome. So this has been another episode of Made. Thank you all for being on.
Thanks
It
for
was a
having
great
me.
conversation. We've covered several things. To the rest of you out there who have not been on yet, let's go. So we've called out Reggie. They've called out
Poor Reggie.
Sharice Abrams. We've said, what other names came up today?
Gary,
Rosemary,
Julian, Corey.
Corey, Julian, Gary, all of them. So if you haven't been on, we definitely want you to join. Come tell your story, come sit on the couch, come tell your experience, and maybe some of the dialogue, right, can help you see a different outlook or help some of us see a different outlook. But it was a good time, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Doyle, for joining us.
I
Thank you
must
all
be the
for
end of the
watching.
line for living teachers, though. Aren't I?
You're not the end of the line.
Well,
Do you? We still have to get Mr. Curlin. Do you talk to him? No.
no, I see him. So.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Kellum.
Mr. Kellum, if you're out there and you see this, the people need to see you, Mr. Kellum. I haven't heard. Have anybody seen him? No. So we have Mr. Kellum left. Do you talk to Mr. Edelman?
My son published 2 of his books. He's written books, and this, roundabout way, like, 6 degrees of separation.
Mm-hmm.
My son is friendly with a guy who's best friends with Mr. Edelman's son, and
Okay.
they called him and they said, this guy wrote a book and he wants
Yeah.
to come in. And so he's published 2 of his books.
Mm-hmm.
One was about a school teacher,
Mm-hmm.
and
Classic.
you kind of read between the lines,
Mm-hmm.
but it's the one I really enjoyed was his memoir of growing up and spending the summers in Atlantic City.
Oh, okay.
And I thought that was I liked them both,
Yeah. Nice.
but they're available.
So we have to find him. So we might
love
tap
Edelman.
into you for that. So we're not at the end of the line with teachers. We got a couple more we're trying to find and tap into.
Well, they're dropping like flies. I
They're
got to tell you.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
I mean,
You all are thriving
My
in
bad.
your 70s, okay? Miss Merle looked great. The Warshaws look great. You look great. So
There's a
we'll
common
see.
thread there. We all went to Westchester.
Westchester.
Not
So,
not Mrs. Warshaw, but
plug for Westchester University. Thank you, everybody, for a great episode. Thank you all.
Okay.
And we'll talk soon. Bye.
Thank you.